Greetings and welcome to the 2020 Student Entrepreneurship Week. I am Dr. Tendai Chimcheka from the University of Fort Hare. I will be speaking to you today about the need for a business plan. A business plan is important to entrepreneurs. That's both those that are already operating as well as to those that are yet to establish their own business ventures. I know today I am speaking mainly to studentpreneurs, which are basically students that are busy with their academic life and at the same time working on establishing their own business ventures. Some may already have started operating their own businesses. So I'm going to speak to you today concerning the need for a business plan. As a way of introduction, it is important for us to note that entrepreneurship is important. It is important in addressing the challenges that we face in our communities. It is also important in addressing the three key challenges that we face as a nation: unemployment, poverty, and inequality. While we face many challenges, it is also important to realize that these challenges present a number of opportunities to studentpreneurs that they can pursue and exploit. And these opportunities are exploited for the benefit of entrepreneurs or studentpreneurs as well as for the benefit of the community. So entrepreneurship is important not only to the entrepreneurs but also to our communities. It is also important for studentpreneurs to realize or to note the importance of business plans. So whenever you think of venturing into business, whenever you think of starting your own business, it is important to always realize that a business plan is important. I know for a fact that many people think that business plans are only prepared when you do not have enough capital and when you want to source capital from the banks. That is not really correct. There are many reasons that are there. There are many reasons why business plans ought to be prepared and ought to be available for student entrepreneurs or for entrepreneurs in general. So let us look at what a business plan is. And I will use a definition that you can get from South African textbooks. A business plan is basically described as a written roadmap of where a business venture is headed, what it has to do to get there, and what it will look like when it arrives there. So basically we are looking at where a business is headed, what it ought to do to get where it is headed to, and how it will look like when it arrives where it is going. Kuratko describes a business plan as the entrepreneur's roadmap for a successful enterprise. So this is a roadmap for an entrepreneur who is headed for success. He also defines a business plan as a written document, because basically these are written documents that details the proposed venture. It also describes the current status, expected needs, and projected results of the new business, which is basically more or less the same with the first definition that we looked at. So in short, we can use that definition to say a business plan is a written document that provides details of the proposed business. It also describes its current status, where it is, its expected needs, and projected results for that particular business. So looking at what a business plan is generally gives us an idea that this is important to entrepreneurs. You ought to know where you are as a business, or you ought to know where your business is. You ought to know what it ought to do to achieve the results that you have planned to achieve. You also ought to know how your business will look like when it succeeds. There is a common saying which says, if you do not know where you are going, any road can lead you there. If you do not know what you really want to achieve as an entrepreneur, anything that you do will still be regarded as appropriate. But that does not always lead to good results. Hence, business plans are very important because they provide you with that opportunity to really plan on how you want your business to look like in the future, or how it also gives you an opportunity to look at the opportunities, the threats, also the strengths and the weaknesses that you have and that the business has before you even go to the future. Moving on to why business plans are important. Business plans are used for a number of reasons, and they are important for businesses to survive and to be competitive. They are used to determine the chances of success, and they can also be used to raise capital. So many times you look at business plans as documents that you need when you want to raise capital. The reason why some people have been disappointed and they ended up believing and thinking that business plans are not really important. But look at the first bullet point that I have put there. Business plans are used for a number of reasons, and they are important for businesses to survive and to be competitive. This was put forward also by Erasmus et al. In one of the textbooks that are used in business management and entrepreneurship. That these documents, you can actually use them if you prepare them carefully, and if you put your mind to it when you are preparing them. You can use them to actually evaluate the chances of success for your business venture. They can also indicate the chances of failure for your business venture. Erasmus et al. Also indicates that a business plan accomplishes three objectives. And one of the objectives is to identify and describe the nature of the business opportunity or the nature of the new, or to describe the new venture. So basically, one of the main reasons or one of the main purposes is to describe the nature of the business opportunity that is to be pursued and exploited, and also to describe the nature of the new business. We have entrepreneurs, or we have businessmen today, or people who are so-called businessmen, whom when you ask them, what does your business do? What do you do in business? They can't describe. They can't explain it to you. They may not even be convinced of what they do in their own business. So we are saying, if you prepare a business plan, that will give you that opportunity to actually realize what you do as a business, because you ought to put that in detail to convince yourself first before you think of convincing other people. Then the other purpose also of writing a business plan is to present a written plan of how the entrepreneur plans to exploit the opportunity. Now that you have identified the opportunity and you have described it, maybe you are fully convinced that it's an opportunity that works. There are returns that will come out of it. You also ought to explain or to describe how you will be able to exploit that particular opportunity. How are you going to do it? Now that you know what you want to achieve, how are you going to achieve it? So you also describe that, or you also explain that in the business plan. I want you to notice that business plans are not only important when you want something from external stakeholders. They are also important even to internal stakeholders. To your employees, they are also important even to your management team. So internal stakeholders, they will also need business plans. You will need a business plan for their benefit also. And their benefit will obviously be your benefit. Then the third reason for preparing a business plan, according to Erasmus and others, is to attract investors and to persuade a bank for finances. So some people say banks provide capital. Someone corrected me recently to say no. Actually, banks do not provide capital, they provide debt. So if you want to borrow from a bank, you ought to prepare a business plan because they will need it. They will request for it. They will not grant you debt, or they will not grant you a loan if you do not have a business plan. If you want other people to invest in your business and to provide capital in your business, when you want to attract investors, you will also need to prepare a business plan. It will also become very, very important. So those are the three main reasons, according to Erasmus and others, why we need to prepare business plans. As studentpreneurs, as entrepreneurs, these are the three main reasons, according to Erasmus and others, why business plans ought to be prepared. Simplifying those reasons, we ought to discuss these. Why you ought to prepare business plans, basically stemming from the three main reasons that we have discussed. It is important to prepare a business plan because it will help you to sell the business to yourself as a studentpreneur. Also, these reasons, I am not coming up with them. They are not coming out of my head, but we find them in South African textbooks, in South African books. This is a book which was written by Erasmus and others. It's used also in business management, and some use it in entrepreneurship. So, for you to be able to sell the business to yourself, you need a business plan. You must have fully described your business. You must have been convinced that the business works. So before you try and convince other people, before you try to go out and convince other external stakeholders, before you even try to convince your internal stakeholders, your employees, your management team, you need to be convinced yourself first. So put it on paper. Write it down. Write it down. So you prepare a business plan so that you fully understand what your business is all about. What your business is all about. You fully describe your business. For you to fully understand your business, you ought to prepare a business plan. Then the second reason that we also find on this particular slide, which we have looked at in the previous slide, I would look at those two reasons together. To obtain bank financing, which is basically loans, you will need a business plan. I will not explain that further because we have discussed it in the previous slide. Also, to obtain investment funding, we also discussed this in the previous slide, but these are other reasons that we prepare business plans for. It is unfortunate that most people who are becoming entrepreneurs now, most people who are starting their own businesses now, do not prepare business plans. And part of the reasons why they don't prepare business plans is that they think they do not need any bank loans. They already have access to other forms of finance, so they then believe that a business plan may not be important. But I'm coming to you today to say it will still be important, even if you have access to other forms of financing. Even if you do not need money from a bank, you will still need a business plan to motivate and to focus your management team. If you look at the last bullet point there, is to motivate and to focus your management team. So if you have a management team in your business, for them to know where the business is and where the business is going, a business plan will actually play a key role in making them understand. So if you put it on paper and you show it to them that this is where we want to go and this is how we are going to get there, that will solve you many problems, and that will save you a lot of time and resources. So you do not only need a business plan to get a loan, you also need it to focus your management team. You also need it to motivate your management team. Business plans, they are also important in attracting key employees. There are some people, those with key competencies, that you really need in your business. They will not just join a business simply because you are the owner. No. They are concerned about their job security. They are concerned also about their earnings in that particular business. So for you to be able to fully convince them, for you to be able to attract them, you will also need a business plan that you can refer to say, yes, we may be here today, but this is where we want to go. And that ought to be real. So you also need to have a plan on how you are going to get where you want to go. So a business plan will also be very, very important in attracting key employees. You also need a business plan if you want to obtain large contracts. If you want to obtain large contracts, a business plan may be requested. They will require you to submit a business plan. So it is not only for bank loans, but it is also for other important reasons. That's why today I am saying it is important for every studentpreneur to think on the importance of a business plan. A business plan is also important in arranging for strategic alliances. If you want other people, other parties to work with, other companies to work with, other businesses to work with, they need to know where you are and what your plans in the future are before they can form strategic alliances with you. Everyone, every business wants to work with someone with a future. So if you do not know where you will be tomorrow, why should people associate with you? You need to have a business plan for your business. Because a business plan is very, very important. So while business plans are important, while they are very, very crucial, you need to have one, you need to write one. Do not just ask people to do it for you in your absence. It has to be done by you. And if it's not you who is doing it as the studentpreneur or as the owner of the business, it's important that you will be there when it is prepared, so that every detail that is in that particular document is coming from you. Not to just ask people to prepare fictitious documents in the name of business plans. Not to just ask experts or consultants to do it for you simply because you want it. You ought to have a business plan that speaks to your business, that speaks to the activities of your business. So it's important that you prepare it yourself, not to just ask other people to do it without your input. That is one of the main challenges that we face today. Even if you read literature from banks, they indicate that a lot of people who apply for loans are actually turned away. And part of the reasons why they are turned away is that what will be in their business plans will not tally with what will be happening in their businesses. And if you ask them further, you will realize that no, when the business plan was prepared, they were nowhere to be found. So a business plan was prepared by someone who knew totally nothing about the business. So it is important that when a business plan is prepared, it is prepared by the entrepreneur themselves, or it is prepared in their presence, so that they provide the input to the business plan. Not that it will just be prepared and presented to them. That will be very wrong. So moving on, it is important also for studentpreneurs to realize that while business plans are important, business plans cannot predict the future. So as we said, these are documents. They are prepared by people. For as long as people cannot predict what can happen tomorrow, the same happens also with a business plan. But the fact that a business plan cannot predict the future does not mean that it is not important. You and me do not know what will happen tomorrow, but we still plan for tomorrow. So a business plan will remain important. But it is also crucial for us to know that it doesn't predict the future. We are preparing these documents based on the future that we predict ourselves. Our business plans cannot guarantee funding. The fact that you prepare the business plan does not guarantee that you have access to finance. As I said earlier, some people prepared business plans, approached banks, they were still turned away. But the fact that their business plans do not guarantee bank funding, it doesn't mean that they are not important. They remain important. You may not find a bank loan, but maybe if you use the same business plan, you may obtain investment funding. So it is important to also realize that business plans do not predict the future. They cannot guarantee funding. Once you prepare a business plan, you can even pay a lot of money to someone or to consultants to prepare business plans for you. But even if they prepare it, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get funding. Our banks always ask a number of questions, and they always put forward some conditions. The business plan is just one of those requirements. Then business plans cannot fool all the people all the time. I liked this one. Because normally when people are putting information on paper, they want to make it look excellent. They always want things to look very good. And many times they will then differ from what will be on the ground. So it is important to remain truthful and to be realistic when we are preparing these business plans. So in short, I am saying business plans are important to studentpreneurs. On how these business plans can be prepared, there are a number of templates from different banks. You can visit different websites from banks to find such information. I can also refer you to a number of textbooks that provides in detail how one can go about it when preparing a business plan. And thank God there are a number of South African textbooks that actually provide that step-by-step process on how one can prepare a business plan. So it's something that you can actually do by yourself, something that you can do yourself without paying anyone to do it. It is also important for me to emphasize that it is not only about obtaining bank loans. When you think about business plans, don't think only about obtaining bank loans. It is not only about bank loans. It is all about success. It is all about excellence. It is all about knowing what you want to achieve as a studentpreneur. It is all about working hard to actually achieve what you want to achieve. So putting everything on paper, writing up a business plan is not all about obtaining bank loans. There are many reasons that we have discussed, including attracting employees, including focusing management team. That has totally nothing to do with obtaining funding from banks, but it has everything to do with success. It has everything to do with winning. These are some of the texts that you can consult. Some are South African texts. The other one is an international text. So it's important to also visit these and read on your own on how you can go about it when preparing a business plan. Thank you so much. I wish you a successful Student Entrepreneurship Week. Hope you enjoy other sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you once again.